Hi, this is Linda with Watery Wishes, and it's been a while, but life happens. So this is a card I did a few weeks ago. I didn't have a chance to edit it and do the voiceover for it, but I'm doing it now. And it was for a family friend who wanted to give my mother a card for helping her with, like, she was moving back here from Wales, and so Mum was helping her with furnishing her house and all of that sort of stuff. So she wanted to give my mother a card, and they've been friends for a very long time, but since she's been living outside of the country for a few years, I felt that this sentiment would be absolutely perfect for the situation. So I pulled out the Everything Together stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, which was in one of their card kits, but I'm sure you can still buy separately. Stamp set's called Everything Together, and the sentiment is, I wish we lived closer, pretty sure we would do everything together. And it's a pretty accurate statement. So it went really good, and the specifications for the card I was given was to go all out, and I figured the simplest and quickest way to go all out is to use gold glitter embossing powder. Now, this stuff is not for the faint of heart. After creating this card, I was covered in gold glitter. You would have thought a leprechaun had farted in my room and just scattered it everywhere. For weeks, I was moving things on my craft desk, and every time I did, there was a puff of gold glitter. So yes, glitter. But the card turned out really well, and it looked very shiny and sparkly, and so did I for a good week. And my mother enjoyed the card, and her friend liked the card enough to give it to her, so it was all perfect. So for this card, I'm using the Emboss Resist technique, and I felt it was easier to do it on a separate card panel rather than directly onto the card. So the colours I'm using are Seedless Preserves. I think, oh, did I use Tumbled Glass? I must have. And then I think I used a pink, which would be Worn Lipstick, I think. We'll tell in a minute, while I clean up my stamp set and my before I did this card, I was planning in my brand new Erin Condren planner, so I had some stuff left to the side. So here I'm just checking to decide which way I'm going to blend these inks on a scrap piece of paper. And I don't think I've got these little tonic brushes, and they're sort of streaky when you use them, so I think I reverted to a normal inking tool from Ranger. And now I'm just testing that out, see if I like the look of it. and that Seedless Preserves is fairly heavy, but I really like the colour of it. So originally the idea was to go in really lightly, but the Seedless Preserves forced me to go a little darker. Because it is a darker colour, it's much easier to see the blending marks on the cardstock that you're blending on. So I sort of ended up going a bit darker, and I didn't use the third colour. Okay, so I just used the two, and the Seedless Preserves and the tumbled glass gives that beautiful purple in the centre, and that purple makes the Seedless Preserve seem a little bit lighter than it is, I suppose. Now I'm just buffing off the colour off of the embossing powder, going in with a little bit more tumbled glass because it is the lighter of the two colours. So now it's just a matter of putting my inks away, and I'm not sure if I adhere that to the card before doing the sentiment within or not. I'm just trimming it down. I think I trim it down 1/4 of an inch. I think I trim 1/8 of an inch off either side and 1/4 of an inch off the top, I think it was. I might do it even a little smaller, I'm not sure. It's a long time since I made this card. A lot of things have happened in my life, and trying to remember back is a little bit harder than it should be. So there I'm just giving it one last buff with a paper towel. And now I've got a... Oh, I grabbed another piece of cardstock. That's right. I bordered this piece of cardstock with the same gold glitter so I could layer that panel on top. And this is always a neat trick, whether it's with embossing powder or you want to layer a panel on top of something that's got a very similar color. You can either emboss the edges, or you can use your distress oxides or your inks, to any ink really, to color your white cardstock so that it fits a little bit better. And since I don't have a great variety of colored cardstock, I tend to use that method quite regularly, actually. I'm playing dangerously with the glitter, leaving it on my desk like that. One of these days I'm going to spill it everywhere. As you can see, it's all over my arms and glittering shinily. So off camera I'm just heat setting that. I was actually doing it over my waste paper bin to try and encourage the bits of glitter that blow off to go into my bin. And I'm just using some Simon's Craft Tacky Glue to fix that panel onto the glitter cardstock. And I think I grab a block to weigh it down. But nope, I didn't grab a block, I just winged it. Now I'm just manipulating it to counteract a bit of the warping from the heat embossing. Now I've pulled out a pre-scored card base that is Nina 110 pound. It's an A2 size card. And now I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment inside the card with the very same gold glitter. If anyone's wondering what that cloth is that I'm using, it's just a cloth diaper, or nappy as we call them in Australia. And I got them really cheap, so they come in handy, and I just got them to use as rags around my craft room. So here I am heat embossing the sentiment, "You are simply the best ever." And now I'm just manipulating that cardstock so that it doesn't look warped. And now I'll glue that panel onto the front of the card. And here I get out the handy dandy score tape, which is really good for laying down panels that have been where you've used mediums that warp the panels. So if you're putting down a watercolor panel or a heavily embossed panel, the score tape, because it's so strong, it sort of adheres very well to the unwarped surface. So I tend to use it a lot with especially watercolored panels if I've been watercoloring, and because watercolor cardstock is quite thick, I tend to use this just because it adheres better and flatter. And as you saw there, I was going to put it on the card the wrong way around, but I caught myself just in time. This is why I fold those tabs down first, and I'm just filling in that one little bit on the T that didn't look like it had very good coverage. That's what a Versamark pen is good for. And once I've finished heating that and putting the glitter embossing powder away, I give you guys a good wiggle of the cards and freeze frame so you can see it. And there we go. A very quick and simple card. I hope you guys enjoyed it, even though it was simple. If you liked the video, hit the like button. I would love it if you subscribed. And don't forget, have fun crafting your imagination. Bye.